Hello, YouTube and podcast listeners. What's up? It's me, Amaxter. We're back with Behind the Mod, Season 3, Episode 3 with Ellpeck. Hello.
Hello.
So you make actually editions, right?
Yeah. I've been working on it since like the start of 2015, but no one has cared about it. Like in 2015. But yeah, I have been working on it.
Yeah, it's become a pretty big mod, I think, in the last few months, especially because, of the lack of textile mods that we've had in like 1.9, 1.10.
Yeah, I think the fact that I jumped into 1.8 and 1.9 and 1.10 pretty early meant that a lot of people started picking it up, especially with mod packs like, like kitchen sink mod packs that adapted just all the mods that existed right away. And so I think that helped a lot to get the mod going.
Rewinding a bit, we always start out with this. How'd you get into Minecraft and modding for it?
I got into Minecraft like a really long time ago. Like I think I started playing around the time of beta. But I originally played the actual creative, back in the day there was this browser application thing where you could play like just some weird creative mode where you had it wasn't really the actual creative, but just some weird old mode.
Like the demo on the site?
It wasn't really a demo, I don't think. It was I think it was just a really early version that they kept or something. But yeah, the demo type thing. And at that point, I didn't know that there was an actual game. But yeah, then I picked it up around like beta 1, 2. And I started modding, I think, in like release 1, 2. But back then, I didn't really know what I was doing because I was apparently really stupid back then because I started working with like an editor that was sort of similar to, what's it called? MCreator?
Yeah, the modding program.
Yeah, and it was sort of like a pre-version of that, and I started working with that because I didn't know that I just didn't know that modding in the form of programming existed for some reason. And then I took like a really long break from it because it didn't really make me happy to work with that MCreator type thing. And I think I picked it up again in like early release 1.7 when mod IDs were gone and modding became sort of easier. And then I actually started programming and actually knowing what I was doing.
When you started programming, I'm assuming you had, like a first mod, right?
Yeah, actually I I have a habit of deleting projects when I'm unhappy about them, which is fine. I've started millions of projects in my life that I've just deleted everything of a week after I started them because I suddenly got unhappy with them. And all the mods that I first started with were along, this sort of line. So there's no artifacts or anything of those old mods actually left. Yeah, there's just nothing anymore.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I think I had a few very early YouTube videos that are no longer publicly available. That happens. What would you say, your first mod you'd be proud of would be?
Actually, Editions was the first mod I obviously didn't give up on. And I think that's why it's the only mod that's also just sort of stuck in my memory, because the only thing I know about the first mod I made, and I think the first like 5 mods I made were basically the same thing that I just restarted and then got unhappy with and deleted again, was a mod called, I think, Thingycraft, which is because it was just like a kitchen sink mod with a bunch of stuff in it that I just added because I thought it was cool. And it wasn't really good stuff. And Ashley Editions was like the 7th or 8th iteration of Thingycraft, actually, that I just sort of suddenly was happy with and started working out more than the other ones.
So was it because you were playing kitchen sink packs and you're like, hey, I should make like a mod with a few things that I want?
I think many Minecraft players have this in general, whether they're playing modded or not, is that they search for a feature and they just don't find it. And they think, I need this feature in my life. And a lot of the things in Actually Editions were along, those lines, but also stuff like the Crusher. I specifically know implementing that because I wanted to play around with the way the OR dictionary worked and the way smelting, processing recipes worked and how to implement them. So a lot of stuff that is still in Actually Editions was implemented originally for just me testing and playing around with, how modding works.
And the name, I gotta ask, how did Actually Editions come about?
Uh, I I remember I'm sorry. I remember having Thingycraft in the back of my mind still because I still love the name. But it had craft in it, which there's so many mods that have craft in it in their name that I thought it was sort of unoriginal. And so the second name I gave the mod, and if you were to look at the GitHub history, you could actually see this. I named the mod to, I think, Some Pretty Random Stuff, which is a terrible name because it's way too long, and no one's gonna memorize that name.
Or you could make like an acronym like Wayla.
I could have done that, but I just chose Actually Editions, and every time someone tells me the grammar is wrong on that, because the grammar is wrong, because it should be Actual Editions, I just tell them that no, it's actually comma editions. But that was actually not on purpose at first. It just was a mistake because I couldn't English at that point.
So it was just kind of you rolled with it?
Yeah, I just didn't want to rename the mod again because renaming a mod is really annoying because I had to rename the GitHub repository. I had to rename I think I had made the Minecraft forum post back then because back then people were still using the Minecraft forum and not just Curse. And I had to rename everything, and it was just so annoying to me that I just didn't want to go through the hassle of doing it again.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess now the mod wears it with charm.
Yeah. I think the name is fun to say. Even though I can't really say it because I have a hard time with saying U's and L's for some reason. I think hearing someone say the name is really fun because I think the name sticks in your mind more than Some Pretty Random Stuff or any other, many other mod names.
Yeah, it's definitely unique. But one of the things, looking at CurseForge, you mentioned your mod was available, with 1.7. I think it started gaining popularity later. How was it? Did you kind of have to reinvent stuff going into 1.9 or 1.8? Because obviously that was a pretty hard port for a lot of modders. How did that go for you?
In 1.8 was terrible because of the introduction of the JSON models. I never rewrote any code in the mod, I don't think. Only actual single classes. I rewrote the way that laser relay networks are stored to disk a bunch of times. But I didn't rewrite entire features ever. But the updates were a big pain for me, mainly because from 1.7 to 1.8, with the introduction of the JSON models, I used the vanilla way first, which, with the vanilla way, for one block, you need 3 JSON files. One for the item block, one for the block, and one for the block state, somehow. Mm-hmm. And because at the start of 1.8, the Forge system that also exists, that is way easier to use, didn't exist yet. And so when I ported the mod to 1.9 then, I changed all the models to the Forge system, because I thought it was nicer. But that turned out to be a huge pain, because I had to, change all the models to the Forge system. So the updates were very complicated, but not because of me reinventing anything. It's just the way that the updates were structured that I had to deal with.
And did you kind of add stuff to the mod content-wise? Because, 1.8, some mods still haven't made it, and so it was kind of a vacuum, especially at one point. There weren't that many mods available, especially when it came to tech. Did you add stuff to make it more complete, since it was like one of the few mods available for that version?
I did add a lot of features from 1.7 to 1.10, like in this transition period. Um, Mainly, but not because I wanted more features, mainly because I felt the mod was sort of I I sort of went away from doing kitchen sinky mods because I stopped liking the concept. And so in late 1.7 I added the atomic reconstructor, which hasn't been there all the time, to make, to tie the mods sort of together and to give it a sort of progression. And then in, I think it was 1.9, I added the Empower. That was basically the second step of making it feel more complete and more tied together as one system with progression and stuff.
And you think that kind of made it, because I do see it, being used in lots of kitchen sink, like 110 packs, as kind of more of, not quite, obviously not standalone, but fully featured mod.
I personally think that, non-featured, like mods with features that don't necessarily fit together, get sort of ignored by people, because oftentimes you look for a feature and you I don't know, craft some one item from that mod, and then you just forget the mod forever, but you have this one item. And I think it's sort of a shame that the mod has a lot of stuff that you just don't notice about because the stuff isn't linked together somehow. And I think a big part of why Ashley Editions became popular is because through the Atomic Reconstructor and the Empower, and especially the book too, stuff sort of got tied together, and when you saw one thing from the mod, you also just saw a lot of other stuff from the mod. Mm-hmm. Because I think when I watch videos, I rarely see people type into NEI or JEI something like at random things or at dark utilities, because I think people don't really care for the entirety of those mods, because there basically is, like, the entirety isn't linked together somehow. Mm-hmm. But I see a lot of people typing in at Ashley Editions because they want to build the Atomic Reconstructor, but they also know they want to build the coal generator or the Empower after that. But through using something like JEI or NEI, you automatically find a bunch of features just by, seeing them in that list. And that way, I think you notice them more than, not having the mod as one thing called up in NEI or JEI.
Yeah, making it more comprehensive and like unified. It's kind of reminding me of Quark, the different styles of mods, but the kind of, the idea of random sort of, collection of content. And now you've been trying to connect that more and more.
Yeah, I think, especially with Quark, actually, I hadn't thought of that, but like, stuff like the random clay generation in the world, few people know that that's Quark doing it, and a lot of people think that's Biomes of Plenty doing it. And, that sort of takes away from Quark, because it adds this nice feature that no one can really appreciate because they don't even know which mod it is coming from.
I would say that for a lot of Quark stuff, because like even like stuff like looking down ladders to go faster, people don't realize it, but like it's all Quark doing a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Are you more inspired by Quark, or you're more inspired to become a a standalone mod, a la like the thermal expansion or other like fully featured like standalone mods?
I think standalone mods have the bonus of... I think standalone mods have the bonus of being featured more in videos, which I know to some people that might seem, kind of selfish to be based, to base the thing around people noticing it or not. But you gotta think, like, when you release a game, you gotta think, I want many people to buy this game. And when you release a mod, you gotta think, I want many people to view this, see this thing. And when mod is more tied together. It it gets whole episodes of YouTubers using it, and then the episode is titled after the mod too.
Yeah.
Whereas with stuff like Quark, that doesn't happen. You don't get episodes that are 20 minutes long of a Let's Play covering Quark.
Yeah, you'll get Thaumcraft or Immersive Engineering, but you're not going to get those kind of different mods.
Exactly, because they just don't. You can't just do all the things the mod has in 20 minutes because that's just not how the mod works or is supposed to work. And, if you think about how many people are gonna see and appreciate this, more people are gonna see and appreciate a thing that has entire episodes of on YouTube, because it also makes it easier to understand the thing, because you can just look it up on the internet to find videos and explanatory things about it.
Have you ever considered making like a wiki or I know you have like an online manual, but like other methods of kind of making it, more easy for people to find out what's in the mod?
I have had thought about making a wiki for it, but some time ago, the official FTB wiki started, adopting the features of Actually Editions because they have some really nice editors. Shout out to Expony2 right here. He does the Actually Edition stuff, and it's really cool. He went around documenting all the Actually Editions blocks and items. And, that really helps people finding it and people being able to view information about it if they don't use the manual or the online version of the manual. And so yeah, I'm really happy about that, but I think I would have made a wiki if, that hadn't happened, if no one else had made a wiki.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it is. Yeah, stuff like the Feed the Beast wiki, I think is awesome. Is a somewhat unified mod of Minecraft repository. Like with you have all these new mods. Have you ever like considered adding stuff to integrate with other mods, like especially newer mods, like other tech mods we're getting, like Tech Reborn, or just even the classics IC2 Immersive Engineering? Like, how do you base new content, new gameplay based on other mods? Because most people will probably be playing your mod, with in a pack or with lots of other mods.
To be honest, I haven't thought about that this directly before, because oftentimes in the past I've started implementing features that other people suggest more than my own suggestions to myself, because there's still issues piling up on the issue tracker on GitHub that aren't bug reports, but just feature suggestions. And I don't even get around to thinking about what I want to add to the mod anymore, because I have so many suggestions piled up already from other people that I don't think of new features myself anymore, actually, because, there's just so much to implement anyway.
So it's kind of like crowdsourced?
Basically, yeah, but there has been... I really wanted to add a block that makes the item laser relays be able to be paired up with refined storage networks. But I found out that doesn't really work because they sort of the item lasers base their whole idea around around there being slots, and refined storage systems, they don't have slots. They have just items. And so that idea sort of failed. But when I have the feeling that it's necessary, or the feeling that it might be cool to have compatibility with other mods, I definitely want to add that. There just hasn't been that many instances of that happening yet.
Yeah, well, adding on to that, have there been instances of people being like, oh, I like your item transport or like whatever, but I prefer the way this mod does it. Is there a way I can disable that, or that they can work better together? Because I'm sure there's a lot of features that, some people probably prefer Actually Editions, or some people might prefer another mod's implementation of it. Have you tried to design it to be modular in that sense?
With stuff like item and energy and fluids, it's really easy to make stuff compatible, so that you can do stuff like use Ender IO conduits to pipe out of the item laser systems. But I don't. People haven't specifically asked for any more general compatibility. Just stuff that's been either bug reports or just people saying that they prefer something else, but not saying that either they want them to be compatible or that they desire to use the other thing too, but just have a reason against it. Oftentimes, people just say, well, I like Ender IO conduits more, so I'm going to use them. So, it's never really been a problem or come up that people have asked for compatibility directly.
But like, are they able to disable it easily in the configs if they want, like consistency?
Actually, no, because from there has been a time where you could disable crafting recipes of every block. You can't disable any features in the mod because I don't think, going back to the kitchen sinky mods versus, mods like Britannia or something, I don't think mods like Britannia need a way to turn off their features because every feature ties into the mod, and removing one of the things would take away from the entire experience. And I think Ashley Editions is at the point where that would be true as well, where if you took away the item laser relays, a big part of the mod would just be missing. And so if people want to disable stuff, they still have the option of using Mindtweaker to disable the recipes, or using JEI to hide the items, because you can do that. But there's no direct way to disable things.
Well, that makes sense if you want the mod to kind of, be one thing and not have people break it up like piecemeal. Yeah, so that's actually additions. And recently you did a YouTube video about a new Minecraft mod idea you have. And from the video, I kind of understand it's a magic style mod.
It is a magic style mod, yeah. The idea sort of came into my head very spontaneously, actually. It's basically, I'm just gonna say some basic stuff about it. The system that the mod is based around is called Aura, which I might change because I think it reminds too much of Thaumcraft.
I was thinking that when I saw it, yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly the problem I have with the name, because it takes away from the mod being its own thing, because it is its own thing. Because the thing you see in the video, and it might be nice if you were to link that video or something.
Oh, yeah.
The thing you see in the video is a tree that you can grow that creates this aura. So basically, certain things in the world will be able to create aura. And you can absorb that and use that to make other things and make things work. So it's basically like, you can compare aura to RF or mana or whatever. It's just like a power source. But a power source you get from and with nature. And the main thing I liked about the idea I had is that I plan on making it dimension dependent, so that in the end you get end aura, like, aura of darkness or something. And what I like about that idea is that no mod really forces you to build actual bases in the nether or the end.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of mods that add materials, but they're just, you can go there, take the materials, and go back.
Because you don't want to live there. That's basically
exactly.
Yeah.
But I think, adding something like end aura that you only can get and use in the end would make you have to build in the end. And I think encouraging people to try different things, like building a base in the nether or the end, which I know few people do, is a great thing for a mod to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially now, because 110, a lot of new end stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And that's mainly why I liked the idea I had, because it sort of, that dimension part sort of, forces people to do new things that aren't just build a boring base in the overworld.
I think that's one of the most underrated aspects when it comes to mods. Like, mods can do anything these days, and it seems like a lot of them are just focused on, making your base nicer in the overworld, which is, nice, but I think there is so much opportunity in Minecraft to do stuff with either pre-existing biomes like you're doing, or even like mods that do their own dimensions. I think stuff like that is really exciting and unexplored territory largely when it comes to most mods.
I think it's pretty sad, to be honest, that dimensions are so underrated in Minecraft, because because dimensions give so much to the game because they create a whole new, completely different atmosphere, like the Nether. But if you look in a modded environment in a big mod pack, you look at the overworld, you see a bunch of new stuff just directly when you just look at it. But then if you go to the end to the end of the Nether in that same mod pack, you see like 3 new ores, and that's it. And that's just lame, because then your desire to be in those dimensions is even less than in vanilla, because there is just nothing new in those dimensions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why some of my favorite mods actually are better foliage and dynamic surroundings, and those are 2 mods also most people focus on their overworld features, like, oh, pretty leaves and like auroras and stuff. But both of those mods add amazing effects to the Nether, like lava spurting and like souls rising, and it really kind of reinvents like the Nether, and even some end effects too. And I think most people don't even think about that, but when mods, like those mods do, and like this mod obviously, put that in consideration, I think it really is an awesome design decision.
Yeah, I really like better foliage actually, because it just adds so much to the game, even though it's so subtle and small of a mod, and it's in not enough mod packs. But I think the reason for that is that not enough people have good enough PCs to use such a visuals changing mod.
I'm not sure about that, because like especially with 110, RAM's already pretty high up, and I think better foliage from my experience has been pretty good on most like CPUs. I think it's just not enough people consider it like a mod that's like a must install, even though I think it should be.
Yeah, it's definitely a must install to me as well. I really like every time I see a mod pack with it in it. It just adds so much to the atmosphere of the world.
And do you think you're gonna, this new mod, and do you think you're gonna kind of try to apply your own kind of atmosphere stuff, or like since you're encouraging like settling in other dimensions, are you gonna try to expand the content of those dimensions as well?
I'd really love to do more world gen. I'm just not very good with it, but I plan on definitely adding stuff to those dimensions as well, and especially I really want stuff you can find and explore, like, I don't know if that was Greg Tech, but in the end, a long time ago, there was, like, islands that generated outside of the main island. Not the vanilla ones, but ones with ores on them.
Wasn't that Ender expansion? Or hardcore
Also, yes,
Ender?
but I think it was also Greg Tech. Anyway, I liked that because you had to, explore the end. Which might seem pretty boring, but as I said, I like the concept of the dimensions, and I think it's just underrated, and so I'd love to add new world gen as well, but I just haven't really collected that many ideas for that specifically yet, but yeah, it's planned, definitely.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. We're running a little low on time right now, so I think that's gonna be mainly it, but do you have any more like closing thoughts?
I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on. I know it's been, like, for scheduling and time zone reasons, it's been tough. And also, obviously, you've been sick. So thanks. Yeah. Thanks a lot for coming on. And yeah, I hope all you podcast listeners and YouTube watchers enjoyed this. It's been awesome having you on, as always. And as always, you guys can check out all the links. The video we mentioned will be in the description, all that stuff. And yeah, see you in the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.
There we go. See ya. Hey, quick note after the show. Thank you to Jonathan for supporting me on Patreon. If you want to join him and support the show, then feel free to check out the link in the video description and support me on Patreon. Thanks, and see you in the next one.